It's week 3 of social media and web analytics at Tilburg University. Again, before deep diving into the video lecture and the course material for this week, we're going to take a step back, think about the different learning activities for this week and walk you through them. So there's 2 lectures this week. There's going to be a video lecture and a live computing lecture. So what are they going to be about? The video lecture that we're going to talk through this week, we're going to go back into social media and web analytics. So last week, we took a step back and focused more on a particular set of analytical tools. This week, we're going back into kind of application territory and trying to use some of the toolkit we developed that last week and thinking about the idea of online reputation. So we're going to think about 4 things in general. So we're going to think about, does online reputation matter for firms? How might bad reputation hurt a firm in an online marketplace? Then we'll think about online reputation might be a mix of consumer reviews that may be real or may be fake. So we'll think about, are there fake reviews out online? How might we be able to detect them in some kind of sense? And are they impacting a firm's reputation? So do fake reviews matter for a firm? Finally, we'll think about, okay, reviews are out there. I, as a manager, could think about responding to those reviews. Should I do that? And how might I best do that as a firm in terms of responding to a review that's going to help my reputation kind of in subsequent periods of time? That's the video lecture. Then on campus, we're going to have our computing lecture, where we're going to pivot a little away from regression and start to think a little bit about the idea of using text as data. So instead of thinking about having all of that data that we work with be numerical, we might be interested in something like online reputation and online reviews, and taking the text that's written in those things seriously and trying to learn things based on the words written in those reviews. So things we'll work through this week, kind of as a first step into exploring text as data, would be, how can we treat text as a data set? So what kind of steps might we need to make? Some of those steps might be removing common words that are not super important to learn context, and dealing with things like multiple versions of the same word. So like play, playing, played are all essentially one word, play. How can we kind of work with text and chop off some of the end of these words so they all come back to that single word, play? We'll then think about, can we summarize features of text that we may have? If we have a bunch of reviews, for example, we might want to visualize patterns in the text. And then depending on how much time we have in that class, we may take our first steps into trying to measure sentiment. So how positive or negative is a piece of text? So we might be able to assess something like, from the text, how positive or negative might the reviews be? In addition to these 2 lectures, there's going to be the weekly lab assignment. What we're going to do this week, last week's lab assignment kind of took those first steps in linear regression, kind of adding in multiple control variables and thinking about causality and whether we're comfortable with causal relationships in linear regression with observational data. What we're going to do this week is really dive into the difference in differences and the idea of running an experiment and then kind of estimating causal effects through a linear regression framework, through using the experiment to kind of help us get causal or get causality. So we're going to be doing difference in differences, essentially. The example we're going to use is going to be simulated data based on a relatively important paper that was released quite a few years ago now, that thinks about the importance of search engine marketing and its impact on revenue in the context of eBay as a platform. The main tasks we're going to work on will be some kind of normal data wrangling and data understanding, so kind of cleaning up the data a little bit, plotting some of the key relationships. Then we'll start kind of computing kind of causal effects using that difference in difference experiment setup via regressions. How can we then summarize our regressions? So can we construct a regression table? And then how might we interpret all the results that come out of those regressions? Finally, there's the lab sections that we have each week. Similar to last week, we're going to continue with group presentations. Again, there'll be 2 group presentations this week, again, being about 30 minutes in total, 15-minute presentation, 15-minute discussion. And then again, with the remaining 25 or so minutes, we'll look back at the previous week's lab assignment. So in this case, lab assignment 2, and work through any points that you guys might have had difficulty with, or just want some additional kind of understanding or tips on how to kind of answer these kind of questions. Finally, group assignment 1 was released last week. And now is the time that you should start working on that material and kind of building up your answers to that assignment. I look forward to talking with you about online reputation and its effect in online marketplaces. See you in the next video.